Why is my clear column being routed through the... Mic check.
1 2 1 2. Hello. Hello. 1 2. One, two. 1 2. Is anyone there? Hello. Coming in through the back speaker.
Hi, Mallory. Can you hear me?
And we are live. Hello, everybody. Please welcome to the stage Ava Vanderbeek.
Hello and welcome to the second annual Canadian Rockies Youth Summit. I am Ava Vanderbeek, a grade 11 student from Central Memorial High School and the youth representative and student outreach for the Canadian Rockies Youth Network. I am very excited to kickstart the summit with the opening ceremonies. We have so much planned for you all, including amazing speeches from people all over the province, great activities, and of course, lots of youth voices. Like many of you, I'm sure, I love the Canadian Rockies. I hike there with my new puppy, McKinley, named after the mountain, of course. I love to ride horses, and the trail rides there are amazing. And the amount of times that I ski in those mountains is unheard of. However, I want to protect these experiences for the next generation to enjoy. The Canadian Rockies Youth Network Youth Committee created 5 pillars of environmental issues that demand our focus: climate change, sustainable development, wildlife biodiversity, Indigenous knowledge, and our watersheds. Our wild spaces are in trouble and need more youth voices to stand up and help protect them, and to be consulted on decisions that will affect their generation. We aim to build a coalition of educated youth mobilized on awareness of their issues and working on action projects. Together, our voices can put pressure on local, regional, and federal governments to shift towards sustainable energies and protect our watersheds and our sacred Indigenous lands from top mountain coal mining. Together, youth can put policy pressure or find innovative ways to clean up the 69,000 abandoned oil mines in Alberta. Together, we can be allies to elevate Indigenous knowledge to be part of parks management. Together, youth can help protect the 60 species of mammals in the Canadian Rockies. Together, we as youth have so much power. We are the next generation to inherit this earth, and we can choose how we want to run it. At this summit, we want to turn hope into action. As we say, taking action is the cure for depression. By doing as little as planting a garden to grow local food and minimize our carbon footprint to help local pollinators, or as much as, starting a youth summit, can help elevate youth voices to be stakeholders at the decision-making tables and help minimize the impacts of environmental issues. Here at Central Memorial High School, we are fortunate to have a class devoted to action projects, led by one of my favorite teachers, don't tell him, Adam Robb. We have students doing amazing things, like putting solar panels on every new school in Calgary, starting community gardens, and building a chicken coop in our own courtyard. If we put our minds to it, I know we can do it. We can be the next Greta. We can make a difference. We must recognize that a youth voice is not complete without Indigenous knowledge. So I'm going to present what I think is one of the most important events of this summit, the land acknowledgement. In the past year, I've had the pleasure of rediscovering my Indigenous roots. And I'd like to take a moment with you to share my own version of a land acknowledgement. My cousin, Jesse Thistle, wrote a book called From the Ashes. And as I was reading, I found many similarities to him and his story. He wrote many things on the difficulties of being homeless and Métis, and on his, and surprisingly, my heritage. It was hard to read so many details and horrors that had faced my family, but it helped me step into my own heritage. After this, I discovered a young girl by the name of Marion Morissette. She was a cook for Louis Riel, her cousin. As the Canadian General Middleton opened fire on the town of Batoche, where the Northwest Resistance was staying, it was said that Louis Riel threw Morissette out the window, saving her life. That 16-year-old cook ended up being my distant grandmother. And for years, my Métis culture came as a source of shame. No one talked about it or was proud to be a part of it. Generational trauma hit my family hard, as suicide, mental health, and homelessness traumatized my close relatives, one even being my own mother. This network and the idea of reconciliating with the land and culture has helped me realize that being Indigenous should come as a sense of pride. I have been introduced to many people similar to me, as we are all trying to discover our own roots and see our heritage in a new light. As an Indigenous youth, I believe that it is of high importance to recognize the land that we are placed on, for all those, like me, trying to find their culture, and for the Indigenous people, and for the youth wanting to learn more about the First Nations culture. So I would like to honor our agreements and to honor the land that gives us health and well-being. In the spirit of respect and truth, we honor and acknowledge the Canmore area known as the Chuap Chipin Ku Db, and translated in Stoney Nakoda as shooting at the willows. And the traditional Treaty 7 territory and oral practices of the Yarhe Nakota, comprised of the Bearspaw, Chinchiki, and the Weasley First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kanaya. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3, within historical Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge all nations who live, work, and play, and help us steward the land, and honor and celebrate this territory. And with that, I'm going to hand over the mic to Dr. Leroy Littlebear, an elder from Kanaya Nation, who is going to lead us in an opening prayer. We at the Canadian Rockies Youth Network are so pleased to have such a voice who has accomplished so many things in his life, some being the Buffalo Treaty founder and the founding director of the Native American program at Harvard University. Thank you so much, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Okay. Zikronex matchen nog paar nog siste koik. Ziksona taxsitak. Kitam moksoi. Kaksakain no moksoi mokitoka noksoi. I'm very honored to have been invited to your summit. It's very important, and I'm very, very glad that our youth are taking the lead and making up their minds that they would like to save our land and do something about the big carbon footprints that our present society has made on our territories. Okay. With that, I would like to say an opening prayer for your summit, and you can all join each in your own way in the prayer. And after that, I would like to say a few words about the Buffalo Treaty. Ayus te pata piup, ayunatu si kumiki sumakak, hanna kakaktu si wakak, ita paspekana soyakak, surum khananj katsamatpuan oxistikoikak. Stepata piupa taksanikim mukinan. Oh, gnitsi tapi spinnan, seksikim matap spinnan, no tapas spinnani, mikasta tsoch spinnan. Oh, kintastak pinnan takukotski. Itaputsaw sanani mukamuksakui ka kinitukut pinani ka takutsapuk sanani. Takumataptu sanani ni petapiuk santaksis the pinna matskatu sanani. Anha muksa sitapik si muy piukinaniksi. Makutuman staptu sannikis soxika kennikutitapa kwa kakapya. Hu kinnikim sannak. Nixakunissotanin nixakunissokunanixikak. Manaxapatapik, Sanixagatakas soxikak. Takumatapis, Takotuitzikas, Sanania, Makutuitzikatu sanun minutes xakuminani tawxanani. Hu kinuch pinana nuk sakoi takitkut suksistutsi sinnani takitkut makikukatsikut kanasaskissi makitsita puawan sannu kanapiiksiwakaki hannakiksina wakad kannakam mamiu makitamita potsannuk hu kin hannak spumita piwak sakkumita piwakak ksudum khananj katsamatkhpuak kinimata sa putsip sa maukististum sinikaki. Kipas simi sinikaki. Mista puhtumu kinan. Taksa isinu tsi pinana mukististum sin. Taksa katu pinanaksik kinais tapsisaki. Takits piapo kah pinan suksistum sini. Kanay mi patapiwak sini. Na kanay mixamstani kanayak setapia pi nestapi puutumu kinnan sistomia pi kaki nestapi puutumu kinnan seipoma pi kistsikana pi kaki hu kimuksa setapi sakkanui kaki nitsimui piu spinnanik kaki ispummu sakyannik istapaki päätapi kaki aktuuts ksenimmiaunk huta paski puaikaki hu kinimata sa puutsipa misami päätapiukseni na piutseni taamistawatsimani kamutane that was my prayer. I'm very honored to be invited to say a few words about the Buffalo Treaty in your gathering here this evening. You know that the buffalo, it's not just the animal we're talking about. There's a whole lot more behind just seeing a buffalo out on the land, out in the field. You know that that buffalo has a spirit, just like all these other animals, just like all these other plants, trees, and so on. Even the rocks have a spirit. And together, all those spirits, make what scientists refer to an ecological balance. And that ecological balance is what makes for us humans to exist. So that if we start fooling around, if we start changing that ecological balance in our environment, in our biosphere, and so on, it's almost as though we are changing ourselves and so on. And eventually, the change will be too great for us as humans, as Homo sapiens, to continue to exist. In other words, we will go down the road of our human cousins that they call Neanderthal. That Neanderthal man, we coexisted with that being a few thousand years ago, but where is he now? He's not here anymore. And that's because the environmental, ecological balances that it needed to exist disappeared. So he's not with us anymore. I can't text him. See? When it comes to the buffalo, is very, very important because it's like a superstar. We refer to it as a keystone species. And the way I think about a keystone species is like a superstar on a hockey team. And here in Alberta, hey, we think about Connor McDavid, a superstar on the Edmonton Oilers, okay? You know, in his younger days, LeBron James, basketball teams, wherever he went, hey, they built the team around those superstars. And if you remove the superstar, the team usually falls apart. See? Well, that's what the role that the buffalo plays. It's a superstar with regard to the environment, with regard to ecological balance. It is also a superstar to our culture because our songs, our stories, our ceremonies are all connected to that buffalo. And because of that, our elders several years ago said, hey, we have our stories, songs and ceremonies, and our young people, our youth, hear these stories, they hear the songs, they see or even participate in the ceremonies, but we don't see that buffalo out there. What we need to do is bring that buffalo back so that we will have a connection. It's kind of like if you were brought up in a Christian way. You can have all the Christian beliefs you want, but if you don't see that corner church down the street, if you don't see crosses, see, there's something missing. See? Well, that's what the elders were talking about. We need that buffalo to come back. And it was on those thoughts, and it was with that background of it being a keystone animal that our elders encouraged us to work towards signing and bringing our people together to sign a Buffalo Treaty. So that in 2014, the Buffalo Treaty became a reality. Four tribes on the American side, 4 tribes on the Canadian side signed the original Buffalo Treaty. And since then, a whole bunch of other tribes on both sides of the border have also signed the Buffalo Treaty. And they didn't want the signatories to the Buffalo Treaty. As you know, only sovereign nations can sign treaties, but they didn't want to leave out our youth. They did not want to leave out organizations that support buffalo restoration. So they said, we will allow individuals and organizations to sign the Buffalo Treaty as supporters. And so we have a whole bunch of individuals and organizations that have also signed the Buffalo Treaty. And the Buffalo Treaty has acted as a catalyst in having Banff National Park, Waterton, and a whole bunch of First Nations now are bringing buffalo back to their communities. So the Buffalo Treaty is really alive and well. And hopefully one of these days, our organization over here that's sponsoring this summit will get to sign the Buffalo Treaty. The Buffalo Treaty speaks to conservation, which you are all meeting about today. It speaks to culture. It speaks to education. It speaks to economics, health, research, so on. So that the Buffalo Treaty says we will all work together in these areas to bring our people back together so that we can bring an ecological balance to our lands again, so that we as human beings will last into the future and not go down the road that Neanderthal man went. In other words, we want to be around for several thousand years and not disappear from these territories. And with your help and that good work that you're already doing, I know that that's going to be the case. So thank you very much for allowing me to say these few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leroy Littlebear, for taking a moment to share a prayer from the heart. What's funny was when I was really young, a little kid, I actually thought that buffalo were fully extinct. And when I saw them in the zoo for the first time, that blew my mind. But so, next we have our sage ceremony from Brooklyn McWilliam Fraser, speaking on behalf of the First Nations group CRYS. She's a student at Central Memorial High School and is currently working on so many action projects, such as a thrift store. Did you know that the carbon footprint of a t-shirt is 15 kilograms of CO2 emissions and uses 2,700 liters of water just to make one t-shirt, which is enough water for one person to drink for 900 days. But we'll hear more about that on Friday. So let's first take a moment to listen and to learn more about the First Nations tradition of smudging.
Hello, everyone. First, I wanted to say thank you to Ava and Dr. Leroy Littlebear for the land acknowledgement and the opening prayer. That was quite lovely, and I appreciated learning about all of the buffalo and the Buffalo Treaty. My name is Brooklyn McWilliam Fraser. I'm an Indigenous Cree woman, and my Indigenous name gifted to me by elders is White Eagle Woman. Today, I've been invited to do a smudge ceremony with all of you. It will be a bit different because we aren't in person and it's over screen, but I'll try my best to make it feel the same. If any of you attending from home who are familiar with smudging and have some sage, cedar, or sweetgrass with you, I encourage you to bring it out and smudge with me if you'd like. Before I begin, I'd like to offer a bit of teaching about smudging, the sacred medicines, and why we smudge. Smudging has been a part of Indigenous culture for thousands of years. Smudging is a way to cleanse the body and soul of any negative energy, dark entities, bad feelings. It's a way to heal ourselves and provide ourselves with peace. When we smudge, we are cleansing physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. People also smudge to cleanse the space they're in of dark energy or evil spirits. Now, there are certain medicines that we use to smudge. The most common are the 4 sacred medicines: sage, cedar, sweetgrass, and tobacco. These medicines also belong to the medicine wheel. I actually printed off a picture of the medicine wheel just to show you guys what it looks like, if some of you haven't seen it before. So this is the medicine wheel. I'm not sure if you can see it, but we have the white, black, red, and yellow. So each of the sacred medicines belongs to one of these quadrants. And here it just says the circle represents balance, connection, and the continuous nature of all creation, a system of teachings and visual tool for passing down Indigenous cultural knowledge. So cedar belongs to the white part, tobacco belongs to the yellow, sage belongs to the red, and then sweetgrass belongs to the black. It can be in a different configuration depending on what Indigenous culture you're from, but that's just the best one that I found that's similar to the Cree people. Okay, so sage is used for healing, cleansing, and to purify. Sweetgrass attracts positivity and kindness, and it is used to please the spirits because it smells really lovely. It smells really sweet, as the name says. Cedar is used to ward off sickness, create balance, and to ward off bad spirits. And then tobacco is one of the most sacred medicines. It's meant to be smoked or burned. It's used in ceremony or for cleansing as well. But that being said, it can become a poison if abused. Tobacco is also a very common gift that we give to elders whenever they come to spend time with us. They do a ceremony for us, like Dr. Leroy Little Bear. Typically, we would gift him tobacco. But for today, for our smudge ceremony, I'll be using sage. I'll just show you a little bit of what it looks like here. So this is the sage that I have, and this is my sage bowl. This is a mixture of sage from the sage garden that we have grown here in the EEI class at our school in the sage garden, and a mixture of some that was gifted to me by my cousins. Sage is most well known for its healing remedies. It quite literally cleanses the air as well as the spiritual aspect of it. Now, when we smudge, there are a few things we have to do beforehand. First, I ask if you have any hats, glasses, or metal jewelry on that you take it off. This is just out of respect. Next, this one might sound a little bit weird, but if we were in person, I'd ask any women who are on their moon cycle or menstrual cycle to refrain from smudging themselves. The reason being because when women are going through their moon time, their body is already cleansing itself. It's also believed that the menstrual cycle or the moon cycle that we call in Indigenous culture represents birth. And when we're cleansing ourselves, it's like rebirth. So we don't want to mix those two. Before we smudge, we also want to make sure we have a clear mind and good intention set. You don't want any negative intentions going to the medicine that will be cleansing yourself, people, and the space that you're in. This is why if after this or if you already do smudge, you never want to purchase any sage or other medicines from those large retail locations. The reason is because whenever someone is touching the medicine, their energy is attached with it. So all of those people that were involved in the process of getting that sage bundle to that store have their energy attached with it. We don't know any of those people, and we don't know their intentions, what their energy was like that day. A better option when acquiring medicines to smudge with is to either grow them yourself, pick them after offering Mother Earth thanks, or purchase them from an Indigenous-owned shop, like Moonstone Creations here in Calgary. That's actually where I got my smudging kit. So here, as I showed before, I have my shell. The sage is in here, my eagle feather, and matches right here. So whenever you smudge, you should never use a lighter. Always use matches. This is because the butane in a lighter will toxify your medicine. It's also just more respectful and traditional to use matches. When we smudge, we always cleanse ourselves first and then others. You guide the smoke towards you and down your body while saying a prayer to the Creator or thinking of positive things for yourself or others that you're smudging. So I'm not burning it quite yet, but if you were to be doing it at yourself or in the future, you just kind of run your hands through it. It's a very quiet ceremony. You know, no one should be speaking during this time. And you run your hands through it and you're thinking of your prayer or whatever's going on in your brain that you want to cleanse yourself of. And you cleanse your body, your head, your arms, your legs, behind you, your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and then we always finish 3 times with heart. At least that's how I was taught by my elders. All right, with that being said, I'm going to start with the smudging. So around this time, I would have anyone who wanted to partake in smudging with me, they would come up to the bowl and they would just cleanse themselves. But because we're doing virtually, I can't do that. So instead, I'm just going to smudge towards the screen, and then I'm just going to offer a little bit of silence for anyone who wants to say a prayer to the creator or to themselves or for somebody else. All right, I hope that was enough time. If not, the site is still burning, and I'm just going to put it over here so it's not in the way. So typically, once your medicine, whenever your burning is done, burning and it's just ashes, what we do is we give it back to Mother Earth. So we bury it in the ground, and this is just so that like the sage or the cedar or the sweetgrass would be able to grow again. It's also just to respect the medicine. You don't want to leave it in the bowl, or you don't want to just toss it away. It's medicine. You want to respect it and say thank you, Mother Earth, for offering it to you. That being said, I just want to say thank you to everyone for giving me this time to educate you on how to smudge and for listening to what I have to say. I really appreciate it, and I hope that all of you will enjoy this youth summit. There's been a lot of awesome youth and a lot of organizers who helped put this together, and I'm so excited for all of you to learn so much about climate change and so much about the Rockies, and just to really feel motivated and determined after this summit. So thank you so much. Hi.
That was so great, Brooklyn. I know how hard it can be, especially in this time of COVID, for having an actual smudge ceremony, but it was still so beautiful. I've actually started smudging my own room recently, and I've just felt all the bad energies just fade away. Next, we have the Stoney Nakoda Nation Iahe Nakota Singers, who's going to be performing 3 songs for us: Flag Song Victory, Round Dance, and Intertribal. So let's take a moment to reflect and relax while listening.
We're on now. Okay, we're Iahe Nakota. We had a couple guys back out, one guy back out, so we're okay. We're from Morley, Alberta, west of Calgary. We're going to sing a flag song first. Okay. That's a really old guard flag song from long ago. Here's a round dance song my son composed. Hey, 1979, one of the most popular songs I composed. It's a special friendship song. We're very honored. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was so beautiful. I have heard Indigenous drumming so many times, but every time it just takes me back to sitting in my dad's Jeep driving through those beautiful peaks of the Canadian Rocky Mountains, touching my heart so deeply. I would like to take a moment to thank all the amazing speakers we've had at the opening ceremonies of the Canadian Rockies Youth Summit for sharing their talents, prayers, and stories. As youth, we can make so many connections, many being with Aboriginal people. Indigenous people have years of intergenerational trauma from having their families and lands being stolen from them. But we, as the future generation, can change that. We can elevate not just youth voices, but also Indigenous voices. We can strive to get more First Nations input into government affairs and environmental conservation. Indigenous communities are the rights holders. We can strengthen our connection with the earth with the help of Aboriginal people. At Central Memorial High School, there are students working on Indigenous medicine spaces and have had a sage space for years now, handing out sage bundles to whoever wants to learn more about the culture. As a result, we are making strides to incorporate more Indigenous views. As said in the Canadian Rockies Youth Summit 2019 report, Indigenous people have been mistreated in the management of these lands historically, and this is something that Canadians do not know about. This needs to change. Thank you for joining us at the Canadian Rockies Youth Network opening ceremonies. We will now start with our Campfire benefit concert. So let's keep it rolling here, peeps. We are so excited to have so many artists and storytellers here to perform for us tonight who have a shared love for the awe-inspiring Canadian Rockies. We wanted to create the feeling of wonder and inspiration you get after a day of exploring in the Canadian Rockies, sitting around a fire, sharing stories with new and old friends, of time spent in nature in our wild spaces. So kick back, put on your coziest campfire sweats, wrap yourself in a blanket, and put on your mech hut booties, and relax. We have an evening of inspiring youth speeches, musicians, and creatives. Some being the musicians headliners Amelie Patterson and Damas Anderson Camacho. Also, this is a Campfire benefit concert. We are raising money to go towards the next year's Canadian Rockies Youth Summit. So find the donate button on the homepage of the Canadian Rockies Youth Network, in our YouTube live stream, which you are probably watching from, in the chat, and also our Instagram bio. That makes 4 places where you can go and donate, so easy. Go hit the button. But first, a huge thank you to every speaker, artist, and musician volunteering their time and creativity and talent with us tonight. I'm sure most of you are aware of how hard the pandemic has been on all of us. As a result, we could not have the summit in person in the wilderness. But our team has used this blockade to move us forward. We are now streaming to so many more people and having so many more speakers. Next year, we are hoping to have the summit in person once again. That's why we are hoping to reach a goal of $1,500 from donations to make next year's summit just as great as this one. So please hit the donate link below. And with that, let's get this party or concert or campfire or whatever begin. Let's start with the youth activist who started this summit, Ben Green, the founder and director of the Canadian Rockies Youth Summit and Now Network. I'm going to pass the mic to the man, the legend, Ben Green, to share his story of making this all happen.
Okay, actually, we're just going to take a small break, and we're going to be right back at 7, because that's when the concert's starting. So see you all then.
coordinator at the Biosphere, empowering in community engagement and leadership on environmental issues, climate change, wildlife coexistence, and all the issues that affect our Canadian Rockies. When we say youth are the future, let's listen. I'm so stoked, privileged, inspired to be working with this incredible group of youth from the Environmental Energy and Innovations class at Central Memorial in Calgary, and our numbers are growing. Our goals are simple: empower youth and educate youth to take action on environmental issues affecting our beautiful Canadian Rockies, mountain and foothills spaces, and empower youth to take action and create action projects improving their community and environment. The Canadian Rockies Youth Network aims to be a body of youth that is consulted on environmental issues and a mobilized group with power in numbers. We wouldn't be here without our sponsors, Bow Media, behind the scenes here, and Beatnik, where we're streaming live from. And of course, the incredible group of creatives, artists, Indigenous knowledge keepers, and youth that are sharing tonight. Every person is making this possible. Of course, this project wouldn't be possible without a generous donation from the Calgary Foundation. And we are partnering with this incredible body of youth. And of course, we also received an incredible donation from the Assembly of First Nations of Alberta. But as I said, this is about the youth. So let's get back to them. And just remember, every donation is making next summits possible and connecting youth throughout the year. So donate, kick back, and grab a cup of tea and a snack. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mallory. Hello and welcome. I am Benjamin Green, and I am the youth co-director and founder of the Canadian Rockies Youth Summit. I'm really happy to be with everybody here today. So this summit was originally founded in 2018 when I first came to the Career and Technology Center. As a ski bum in my Energy and Environmental Innovations class, I was looking for a project to work on that involved ski hills. Luckily for me, this Lake Louise ski area expansion project was being proposed then, so it was kind of the perfect timing if I wanted to do something. While this was promising, I then experienced a little treat called government bureaucracy. Well, I sent many emails only to receive slow and insignificant responses. It was at that point when I realized that that project wasn't going anywhere. So I decided to shift my focus onto this new issue that I found. How can we involve more youth in important projects such as the Lake Louise ski area? Well, after lots of planning and collaboration with my friends, we ended up creating the summit. This is our second annual event driven by youth, and we plan to keep it going. The scope and size of this project has grown so much in the last year, and even the team has grown from a couple of friends and a teacher to a big network of youth activists and educators from across Alberta. So thank you for showing up tonight and supporting youth voices. If you bear with me for a little bit longer, I'm going to just talk a little bit about how I think the growth of this event has really reflected the change in mindset regarding youth voices. For a long time now, youth have been recognized as insignificant, indecisive, and immature to be making any sort of important decisions. The phrase, "speak only when spoken to," comes quickly to mind. I admit this phrase hasn't been used in a while, but our society is still strongly influenced by this principle. As youth, our decisions are made for us, and the outcome is handed to us like baby food on a platter. When can we actually take control and have some say in how our life is going to be shaped? Recent policy regarding climate change, conservation, and education have all failed to address one major stakeholder, and that's youth. So for us, we only have one way to share our voices, and that is to continue to create action projects and to break through this kind of wall of policy using our voices. However, in the time I have been involved in youth activism, I've noticed big changes. Both on the global scale and locally with the Youth Summit, youth are getting more attention and are being included as a consultation body for long-term decisions. Things are slowly changing, and as the term "speak only when spoken to" is forgotten, so are its impacts. To speak solely to all the youth in the audience, we need to keep pushing. Not only does our activism help secure the rights and freedoms of a healthy world for the generations after us, but it helps us become better individuals. Seriously, choosing to start the summit was one of the best decisions of my life, and it'll likely be one of the most rewarding. You meet so many new people, learn real life skills, and actually make an impact on the world. I hate to say it, but there's little to no room right now allowed in our current educational system. Yet I've learned so much about how the real world works from this one project compared to any of my core classes. Obviously, school is very important and we have to keep our grades up. It's partly because of the system we've inherited. But I think it's more important to have balance. Balance to be good in school and to do what you must, but also balance to have an impact on the world and do things that you enjoy. This task may seem very challenging at first. We can't solve climate change or cure cancer in just one day. However, without sounding too preachy, just start an action project that you really enjoy and hopefully you find interesting. And eventually you might find a new path that you find more interesting. And if you follow that, you might find yourself on a path that is very rewarding. I guess my message that I want all the youth here to bring home is that we don't live in a perfect society. Our world needs some desperate restructuring right now. Don't feel like you have to do everything, and don't feel like you can't do anything. Because if we don't speak up now, problems like climate change and general conservation awareness are going to continue to grow. Okay, I'm done talking for now. So to everybody here, thank you once again for joining the second Canadian Rockies Youth Summit. If you so choose, we are accepting donations tonight to help foster the continuation of this program so it can continue to run into the future. Next year marks a huge change in my personal life as I'm going to university and a lot of the other organizers are also. So I think it's very important to continue the summit as a project regardless of who's running it. If you donate, you're supporting next year's summit organizers. So you're giving them the chance to run this event and make their own event, which is a really great opportunity that I wish more youth had today. So if that sounds appealing, please see that link on our screen right now or on our website. Okay, thank you once again for listening, and yeah, I'm going to pass it on to Ava.
Woo! Kick it in university. Now let's move on to our next amazing youth, Sadie Vipond, a 15-year-old here to share her story of pursuing a healthier environment by leading rallies and suing the government for not protecting the environment for future use. So let's give it up for Sadie.
Hi, my name is Sadie Vipond. I'm 15 years old and I live in Calgary. I love the outdoors, whether it's skiing, hiking, caving in the mountains. Being in nature makes me happy. I live 45 minutes away from the Rocky Mountains. I love to ski, powder, and ski race in the winter and have been skiing since I was 3 years old. In the summer, I hike and backpack in the high alpine and go caving, places where humans have left barely a footprint. It is extremely important for me to be outside and exercise for my physical and mental health. Sometimes I find talking to human beings absolutely exhausting, so going outside is what I do to recharge. I have a passion for nature, animals, science, and learning about how the world works. I love to take photographs of things you find in nature, especially macro photography of small plants and other interesting things that other people might not take the time to notice, but I find absolute beauty in them. Currently, I am part of La Rose versus Her Majesty the Queen, a legal case against the federal government to fight for a safe climate future. Basically, myself and 14 other youth from across Canada are asking the federal government to protect our charter rights by taking climate change seriously and protecting our right to life, liberty, and security of the person. As you know, at 15 years old, I can't vote. It is amazing to be part of this case because normally I can't influence politicians to protect my future. Through this case, politicians have heard the voice of young people. This issue concerns my future and every other young person's future. Politicians impact the planet each time they create a law related to the climate. If we win, the federal government has to implement a science-based climate recovery plan to reduce Canada's GHG emissions and prevent the dangerous effects of climate change. We are currently appealing the most recent decision when our case was struck down by the federal courts. We are hopeful that the appeal will be successful. Even though the first judge didn't agree with us, we certainly brought needed attention to this issue, which feels great. So, how can youth take action? One of the most important ways to do so is to get informed, such as keeping with the news, up with the news related to climate crisis and going to events like this summit. You can think about what you're passionate about and then think about how you can do that in service of the planet, like speaking, writing, enacting social media, raising awareness, and get the word out. And even if you're not sure that you're going to be good at something, take a risk and give it a try. Some parts of the litigation seemed terrifying to me at first, but I jumped in and have learned a lot. It has been a great experience. Writing to your MP, MLA, or city councillor is also a great way to get your voice out there, since they are here to represent you. And another one of the best ways to take action is to participate in the Fridays for Future strikes. And those are really amazing because it's raising so much awareness. And it's a way for people who care about the planet to come together and everyone is there for the same reason and you really feel part of something. Make a protest sign, join the strike, and raise your voice when we're allowed back on the streets after COVID. The government needs to treat the changing climate like a crisis. They shouldn't see our forests and our parks and our natural, beautiful places just as sources of short-term profit. They're sources of our joy, and they should be for the long term. That's why I'm taking action today, to ask our government to take even greater action on behalf of all Canadians. Protecting the world's climate is of the utmost importance for me, because I can see the wildest places, like the Rocky Mountains, being affected by the changing climate. Even if it is one tree destroyed by pine beetles, that sets a warning signal off for me. Nature is my home, Earth is all our home, and we should all have the desire and a need to save it. To every youth, it is our future. We need to take charge. Thank you so much.
Mic turned on? Thank you. Are you receiving stuff? Okay, let's go again, please. Sadie, that was so amazing. Even yeah, grab another mic, please.
Hello, everybody. We are experiencing some technical difficulties. So if Luna is here, we are going to go to her. Luna at Beatnik.
No, Beatnik. Go to Beatnik then. We are on Beatnik.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luna, and I'm the founder of BID, which is Banff Isn't Disposable. I was born and raised in Banff, so I was your pretty typical mountain kid. I loved hiking. I grew up skiing, and I loved connecting with nature. But when the time came to choose, what university I was going to go to, I decided to go into the sort of creative tech space at the University of Waterloo. So I started off in software engineering, and then I went into a program called knowledge integration. So what I really love about my program is that we focus a lot on implementation, on real world implications. So I knew that when I was doing my 4th year capstone design project, I really wanted to do something that would have a tangible impact on our community. So yeah, I kind of started off I also wanted to do something related to the environment. So I started by looking into Banff's environmental master plan, which is like a 100-page document on all these environmental goals we have. And one sentence that really stood out to me was, how might we eliminate single-use items and plastics from our town site? And I thought that was very timely and very relevant. So I went with that, and after doing months of research, outreach, and designing, the solution I came up with was BID. So BID, Banff Isn't Disposable, is a pilot reusable container program that we're hoping to launch as a joint effort between various businesses in town, the municipality, as well as community volunteers. So in a nutshell, basically, through our program, customers going to these businesses will be able to choose a reusable takeout option. So yeah, the idea is that we want to help mitigate the use of single-use takeaway container waste in our town. So yeah, right now we do have 7 businesses on board so far. We have around 60 volunteers registered, and we do have some funding from our town. So we're really close to launching. We are hoping to launch at the end of May, which is very exciting. And so, yeah, I guess this is kind of the intro into BID, what it is, how it started. But what I want to finish off with is talking about why this type of community action matters, as well as what I kind of took away from this project as a whole. So starting with why community action matters, it matters because experts are actually saying that Canada is not on track to meet our climate goals at our current rate. And one of the biggest I guess, reasons for this delay is that gap between knowledge and action. So the research is very clear. There's tons of successful case studies of environmental initiatives throughout, but it's not the norm everywhere. So what is needed is action from not just governments or big corporations, but from communities across the nation if we want to meet our climate goals by 2030. So yeah, I guess what I want to highlight here is that you don't need to reinvent the wheel or come up with some crazy innovative solution in order to make an impact. For example, with BID, there's already tons of reusable container programs everywhere. All I did was do some research, take bits and pieces of different programs, and then actually put the grunt work in of implementing the program. So yeah, with that in mind, there are a lot of projects out there that just need someone to spearhead it. So I really do encourage people to look into that, look into what you're passionate about. And you can be a random student like me. You don't have to know everything that's going on before you get started. But if you put your mind to it, you can make an impact on your community, and it really does matter. So yeah, thanks for listening.
We appreciate your guys' patience. Having a bit of technical difficulties. So I would like to thank Sadie and also Luna. Both your speeches were so amazing, and both of you are just such young, passionate youth who care about the future of our environment. So, holy, do we ever have such an amazing lineup of youth speakers. That wraps up our 3 youth under 30 minutes. I already feel so inspired, and we haven't even heard any music yet. If you're like me and feeling so pumped up, why don't you donate? 100% of our proceeds will be going to make next year's summit just as amazing as this one, and elevating these incredible voices and youth actions. Next, we have one of my besties here to perform an original song she wrote herself. As she calls it, hip-hop rap meets folk. Let's give it up for Anna Sanders. Woo!
Thank you, Ava. This is the first song I've ever written. It's called Earth Vampire. Well, the mountain ain't where it was before. You tore off its head for the coal in the core, killing ecosystems and blocking corridors. Don't you know not to take what you can't restore? This isn't how life is supposed to be. Debris, coughing smoke from the blazing trees. These earth vampires, black gold Draculas, what happened to leaving your spaces immaculate? They're squeezing out blood, leaving wounds untreated. The sea level's rising and the Arctic overheated. Like Dylan said, soon you'll be drenched to the bone or overthrown. Either way, no time to postpone. Too busy being narcissistic, you'll be staring at water like narcissisted, saying take it slow. You don't have to go so fast, though we've asked and demanded in the past. We don't have time for politicians to learn. There's only so much you can strip and burn. Your whole claim to fame is bringing shame on our name. We've been playing this game for so long, and the mountain ain't where it was before. You tore off its head for the coal in the core, killing ecosystems and blocking corridors. Don't you know not to take what you can't restore? Plastic fishes wallow in dirty dishes. Superstitions of eternal economic growth first revoke the greed, and the blokes pumping smoke, let me clear my throat. The fools who rule us screw up our schools, our tools to learn the truth about burning fossil fuels. They treat us like mules, like we won't have descendants, like indigenous land need not any defendants. I don't think I'm so grand. I understand you should be able to make some dough and put some bread on the table, but the mountain ain't where it was before. You tore off its head for the coal in the core, killing ecosystems and blocking corridors. Don't you know not to take what you can't restore? Get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way if you're not willing to change. Get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way if you're not willing to change. Thank you. This next one I did not write. Joni Mitchell did. It's called Big Yellow Taxi. Well, they paved paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? You paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, up, 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 ooh, up, 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 up. Took all the trees, put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.50 just to see them. Oh, don't it always seem to go that that you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, up, 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 ooh, up, 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 up. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away that DDT now. Give me spots, my apples, and leave me the birds and the bees. Please don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, up, 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 ooh, up, 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 up. Late last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Oh, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, up, 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 up. You pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Oh, you pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Thank you.
Anna Sanders, more like Led Zeppelin, am I right? That was amazing, and I can't wait to hear more from you, and maybe next time on the radio. Finally, we have made it to our headliner for the evening, Amelie Patterson. She is a folk singer-songwriter from Banff. Her newest single, Everything Nothing, is about how love is uniquely our own. I'm so excited to hear her perform, so let's hear it for Amelie Patterson.
Hi, I'm Amelie Patterson, and I'm so honored to be here tonight. I'm so impressed with the initiative of these young people, and I can't tell you how honored I am and how proud I am to be a part of this tonight. I grew up in Banff, and I've obviously spent a lot of time in wild spaces, and sometimes it's really overwhelming to know how you could ever possibly protect it. And I'm just so impressed by these youth for the action that they're taking. This is a song I wrote. It's called Don't Ask. Ask me once again if I'm a liar. Well, I told it to you true. It's all I know to do. I heard it as it's coming down the wire. Something in your voice. So I made the choice to come clean. Ask me if I care, you know I do. I held steady through the fighting, held on for the lightning. Back and forth I go. If you called, then I'd be there. You know that I'd be there for you. So call anytime. You can call anytime. 'Cause lonely is as lonely was. Darkness came and drunken does everything I do for you. Knowing doesn't change a thing, and going back ain't worth the pain. Everything I said, you know it too. Ask me where I've been. I know I left you
too high and dry, hurting hard. How could I? So don't ask me why I came for you. Oh, despite the vitriol, I'll always come when you call my name. So call anytime. You can call anytime. Lonely as lonely was, and darkness came and drunken does everything I do for you. Knowing doesn't change a thing. Going back ain't worth the pain. Everything I said, you knew it too. Ask me once again if I'm a liar. I don't know. I guess so. I've been performing so long, I feel a little bit like, oh. You're doing great. But I love, Mallory from Biosphere was telling me a little bit about the concept behind this, about sitting around a campfire, and that's my all-time favorite place to be in the whole world. That's why I got into music in the first place, that feeling of connection that you... A little bit top heavy. You set me up sideways. Complain that I'm unsteady. 'Cause I know that it's worth it. Your slow rotation like satellites. Your deep inhalations, you got me with high expectations. 'Cause I know that it's worth it. So Lord, let me lay it on you. The heart wants a home, the hole in the bone where it crawled through. Ooh, Lord, let it play and play its own games. A home made a home, a heart to crawl on into. Oh, now, baby, that's on you. That's enough, that's enough. Are you playing the same tune? Your rhythm stuck in room. You stick 'em up, and surrender to. I know we won't falter. 'Cause I don't mind being the one who tries to harmonize. I'll walk on a wire. I take a leap and casually come down from high. Walk on a wire. Oh, so Lord, let me lay it on you. The heart wants a home, the hole in the bone where it crawls through. Ooh, now, Lord, let it play. Oh, play its own games. A home made a home, a heart to crawl on into. Oh, now, baby, that's on you. So, baby, that's on you. Oh, now, baby, that's on you. Thanks. I'm gonna play a song. I wrote this song. I released it during the pandemic, and I wrote this song when I was in New Orleans, playing something called Folk Alliance, and I was really marinating on, I guess, on grief and the feeling of when you're watching a loved one sort of struggle and suffer through something, how sometimes you wish you could just hold it for them so they could take the afternoon off. It's a song called Let Your Trouble Go. I wish I could hold your grief in mine and just let you take the day. You could sit down by the water, let it rise up with the tide. Oh, and the levee breaks. Oh, and the levee breaks. 'Cause I don't believe in a lot, but I'm hopeful. What other choice do we got? Find a way. Whether you're here or you're gone, I'm still hopeful. I hear your voice, and it's not far away. Ooh, let your trouble go. Ooh, let it go. Ooh, let your trouble go. Ooh, let it go. I know there's a way to live past fear, breaking out to bigger space. See, I've been learning from the water. You let it rise up with the tide. Oh, and the levee breaks. Oh, and the levee breaks. 'Cause I don't believe in a lot, but I'm hopeful. What other choice do we got? Find a way. Whether you're here or you're gone, I'm still hopeful. I hear your voice, and it's not far away. Ooh, let your trouble go. Ooh, let 'Cause I don't believe in a lot, but I'm hopeful. What other choice do we got? Find a way. Whether you're here or you're gone, I'm still hopeful. I hear your voice, and it's not far away. Ooh, let your trouble go. Ooh, oh, where'd it go? Thanks. I want to thank Mallory at Biosphere for helping organize this. And I think the Youth Summit next year is going to be really incredible. And I really urge anyone that's tuning in to donate. Like I said, the work that these guys are doing is really, really impressive. And also thanks to Calgary Foundation for their help as well. This would be, I just released this also during the pandemic. This is a love song called Everything Nothing. Guess I don't always have the music, not every time, and I don't always have the words to say outside a rhyme. But you sing and I sway, we mimic the way the moon has a pull, celestial glow anew. Oh, it's new. So take it back to the start, the beating of my whole heart. And no, it's not anything. Oh, it's just everything. The everything and nothing that I've gotta give. Here I go on a roll, hard, feeling full, slow, steady pull. Guess I'll just savor and accommodate. And I know, even though hard, feeling full, slow, steady pull, let it reverberate as you sing and I sway. The moon gets its way, the tides are the tell. The earth will compel us to, all us to. So take it back to the start, beating up my whole heart. No, it's not anything. No, it's just everything. The everything and nothing that I've gotta give. Though it is ours, it is through the ages the same. And though it is ours, it pulls and it sways us the same. Here I go on a roll, hard, feeling full, slow, steady pull. Guess I'll just savor it. Oh, even though I lose control, slow, steady pull. Guess I'll just savor it. No, it's not anything. Oh, it's just everything. The everything, nothing that no, it's not anything. No, it's just everything. The everything and nothing that I've gotta give, that I've gotta give, I've gotta give, I've gotta give. I know. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I meant to say too that that song was initially called Love Song, and I released it in the pandemic because I felt like it was a relevant time, especially to celebrate all the ways that people have found to connect and to communicate and to love on their loved ones during this pandemic. And I also think, again, for the kids in high school, I can't imagine what a challenge it is to be going back and forth from homeschool classes to in-person classes and masks, and like, is your grad gonna happen, all this like visual Zoom stuff. And I think the resilience is just incredible, and it's an impressive generation. I feel like I'm like over here being like, oh, grandma says it's an impressive. I'm not that old. I am wearing socks and Birkenstocks right now, though. So, no, you said they couldn't see my feet. How dare you? Just show a bunch of high school students my soft Birkies. Damn it. I'm gonna do a cover. This is a song by one of my all-time favorite bands. It's a song I wish I wrote. It's by Arcade Fire. They heard me singing, man, they told me to stop. Quit these pretentious things and just punch the clock. Sometimes my life, I feel it has no purpose. Till late at night, the feelings swim to the surface. And on the surface of the city lights shine. They're calling at me, come and find your kind. Sometimes I wonder if this world's so small. Can we ever get away from the sprawl? Living in the sprawl. Dead shopping malls rise like mountains beyond mountains, and there's no end in sight. I need the darkness, someone please cut the lights. We rode our bikes to the nearest park. Sat on our swing sets and kissed in the dark. We shield our eyes from the police lights. We run away, but we don't know why. And on Black River, man, now the city lights shine. They're calling at me, we don't need your kind. Sometimes I wonder if this world's so small. Can we ever get away from the sprawl? Living in the sprawl. Dead shopping malls rise like mountains beyond mountains, and there's no end in sight. please cut the lights. They heard me singing, man, they told me to stop. Quit these pretentious things and just punch the clock. Sometimes I wonder if this world's so small. Can we ever get away from the sprawl? Living in the sprawl. Dead shopping malls rise like mountains beyond mountains, and there's no end in sight. I need the darkness, someone please cut the lights. I need the darkness, someone please cut the lights. I need the darkness, someone please cut all the lights. Right on. Well, this is my last song for the Campfire. And again, I just wish you guys so much luck for next year, and congratulations on the amazing hard work that you're doing. This is a song I wrote called Tic Tac Blues. Oh, here I go, yeah, this old game. Sang the notes, words never came. Try and try and try again, I do. Not throw myself against the wall, 'cause I'd rather take the hit than fall and know it. I gave it my all, it's true. On and on, I call the muse. Words singing love to lose. I'd rather try and fail than choose to live these goddamn tic-tac blues. So step, baby, step. You move just like the rest until you roll, honey, roll. Do what you do best. Baby, step, baby, step. Keep your feet beneath you while you walk. You're more than talk now. Oh, I don't know how tall I am. Your measurements can't keep me in the clay I'm made from molds again into, but I get taller every day. Oh, I get taller every day. I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I wear my makeup, blow a kiss, and put on my tall click-clack shoes across these goddamn tic-tac blues. So step, baby, step. You move just like the rest until you roll, honey, roll. Do what you do best. Baby, step, baby, step. Keep your feet beneath you while you walk. You're more than talk now. And I gotta keep the beat. 2, 3, 4. Hold on to your feet, man. Let them take you. And I gotta keep the beat. 2, 3, 4. Always leaving wanting more. Put on my tall click-clack shoes across these goddamn tic-tac blues. So step, baby, step. You move just like the rest until you roll, honey, roll. Do what you do best. Baby, step, baby, step. Keep your feet beneath you while you walk. So step, baby, step. Do what you do best till you roll, honey, roll. Do what you do best, baby, step, baby, step. Keep your feet beneath you while you walk. It's in the way, it's in the way, it's in the way that you talk now.
you so much for having me. Oh. Amazing that Amelie donated her time.
Say how great of a singer, songwriter, and are. I have all of Amelie's music downloaded on my phone, and being able to see her sort of in person is awesome. If you loved her music just as much as I did, then go ahead and check out her music on Apple Music and Spotify. All these amazing speakers and performers are volunteering to make this incredible virtual campfire sesh possible. If you would like to support us, donate. We have a link on our website, in the chat, and below our YouTube live stream. Every little bit counts. Let's move on to our next speaker, or should I say speakers, from Rockies Repeat, a documentary exhibit and digital storytelling project that unites scientists on the front lines of climate change, artists in the field, and cultural knowledge keepers to bear witness to the changing Rocky Mountain landscape while inspiring action to preserve these places for future generations. These amazing people are here to share their craft with us tonight. We have Caroline, a filmmaker who is driving to explore the human dimensions of conservation, and Emily, an inspiring local artist.
Wow. Guys, this is amazing. And Amy, I was just dancing in my seat. This is just so cool. Congratulations. And what an incredible lineup to be a part of. My name is Caroline Hayden, and as introduced, I'm a director and storyteller. And I'm here tonight to tell you about a new exciting project I'm working on called Rockies Repeat. I grew up in Mohkinstsis, also known as Calgary, and I now live in Cha-Unchinchi Yadin Kudebi, which is also known as Canmore. And I am so grateful to have grown up on Treaty 7 territory and to be nourished by the waters of the river that flow from the heart of the Rocky Mountains. Now, I would like to start with a question for you all to think about as I'm talking. How would you describe a glacier to someone in the future who may not have the opportunity to see one? So just let that sink in. Well, I know that talking about environmental issues and especially climate change can make us all feel so helpless. There are real issues and there are real challenges, that there's also real hope and real opportunities for action, like we're seeing tonight. So whether you want to grow up to be an engineer, to work on climate mitigation, or a musician to write inspiring music, or in our case, artists to raise awareness about climate change, there honestly is a role for all of us to play in tackling the climate crisis, including you. So I'm so thrilled to be a part of this climate summit, which is being led by the next generation of environmental stewards. And honestly, it's such a big deal that you are showing up to be here tonight, to be part of this. And I hope for those of you who are part of the summit that after this week of stories and conversations, that you'll be inspired to take action in your own community. And all it takes is a single idea. It started that way for me too, because I am not a scientist, but I wanted to do my part to make a difference. So I started my first independent documentary project during COVID that sees climate change through the eyes of local artists. One or two of which you're going to meet tonight. And the film follows a team of young women and two spirit artists as they go back to the exact same places in the Rocky Mountains that were first painted by early Banff artist Catherine Robb White nearly a century ago. So it's kind of like a repeat photography project, but with film and paint to capture the scale of climate impacts on our glacial environments. And our hope is to use the power of art to inspire action in a way that depressing climate graphs just can't. And so far, working on this project has been such a moving experience. We've had the opportunity to travel to some of the most beautiful locations in the Rockies, including the shores of Lake O'Hara, which is something I will never, ever, ever forget. And I'm going to tell you about right now. And so we arrived at O'Hara in early September last year, if you remember, when that big cloud of climate smoke had just blanketed the Rockies from California. And normally Lake O'Hara is like, it's so famous and it attracts busloads of people from around the world. But seeing as though it was COVID, it was empty. There was no other visitors besides us. And with all the smoke, it was just, it had this eerie feeling that it was almost haunted. And it was hard to breathe through the smoke, and we were coughing and our eyes were stinging. But we packed up our bags with camera gear and all of our painting stuff, and we continued to a place called Lake MacArthur. And when we arrived, it was like a mirage. The lake was all gleaming in turquoise, but the smoke was so heavy that you couldn't even see or barely see the mountains on the other side of the lake. And we got to the same spot and we held up this print of Catherine's original painting, painted in the exact same place 100 years before. And the change was just astonishing. Like the ice that once flowed down to the shores had all but vanished. You can see photos of this on our website. And for me, that was just the most powerful moment of this project so far, where I really felt that gravity of what we as artists were trying to do. The artist team was literally painting against time to capture the feeling of that place that was just disappearing in front of our eyes for future generations to see. And it just really sunk in that climate change is not just happening in the Arctic or somewhere far away, but right here in our backyard. And while it is heartbreaking, Rockies Repeat inspires me to forge onwards and spread this story as far as we can. Because who are we as mountain peoples and as Canadians without the glaciers that sustain us? And coming back to that question I asked at the beginning, for me, a glacier is the wild, breathing heart of the mountains. And I just can't imagine the Rockies without them. Oh, there we have some photos for you to look at. So what do they mean to you? And what are you willing to do to save them for future generations? So right now our team is gearing up for our very last painting season. And from there, we are wrapping up our film and presenting it at an exhibit at the White Museum of the Canadian Rockies in 2022. But in the meantime, there are ways that you can get involved and learn more. We will be launching a really, really cool youth challenge this week. And I'm also participating in the climate panel on Friday. So don't miss it. And have an amazing week. And most importantly, never, ever, ever lose hope, because it's honestly all we have to guide our actions to build a better future. So thanks, guys. Enjoy the campfire.
Hello, everyone. I think I'm up next.
Sorry, Emily. 1 minute. I think Ava is going to introduce you.
Oh, great.
Oh, no. Okay, sorry. My problem. You can start. My bad.
Sorry if I botched my intro. Hello, everyone. My name is Amelie Baudouin, and I am an artist and muralist living in kind of between Canmore and Revelstoke, back and forth between the two. And I'm one of the Rockies Repeat artists. So thank you, Caroline, so much. It's such an honor to be part of this project, and a real honor to be speaking as part of this summit. So thank you to the amazing organizers. My favorite thing about the Rockies is that they really inspire and inform my art practice. And sometimes in very unexpected ways. I love that they don't really care about humans. They're these big, beautiful, hulking mountains, and we just have to be responsible and travel through them and really steward them, and the glaciers and peaks. So a little story that I'm going to share with you guys is it was on a ski trip, a backcountry ski trip with some friends a couple winters ago up to the Tonquin Valley in Jasper. And I was very much intending for it to be a ski trip, not an art trip. But like any nerdy artist, I put my supplies in my pack, and it was minus 33 degrees when we left the parking lot in the morning. And we had a 22-kilometer ski in ahead of us. And on the way, my boots kind of just fell apart. They were disintegrating and the liners were all just breaking up. And no matter how much bandaging or blister control we did, my feet just got obscenely blistered. Blistered isn't even a word for it. They were like gaping open wounds full of hamburger meat. So we got to the hut, and regardless to say, I was not going to be doing any skiing for the rest of the trip. So the next morning, my friends all headed out with their skis and to ski these beautiful lines that we've been talking about and planning on the ramparts, the range closest to us. And I stayed in the hut by myself in the silence and the quiet with my little sketchbook that I brought with me. And I just started painting the view. And I was pretty disappointed. I really hadn't wanted to sit by myself in the hut all day. But as I sat and really just settled in, I just started seeing the land and connecting to the land in a way that I had not expected or intended. It was a still kind of meditative connection that I hadn't planned on. I had planned on like whooping and hollering and, you know, making decisions and skiing lines with my friends. But just watching the light change on the landscape and seeing where the pine marten went through the huge drifts of snow throughout the day, and just really soaking it in and being quiet. Like I usually listen to music or a podcast or an audiobook when I'm painting, and it was just still. So I painted all day by myself, kind of alternating sitting in the hut and going outside to paint on plein air, which only worked for a few minutes at a time because my paint would freeze onto the paper, and it was making these beautiful frosty paint impressions. So it was a very special day, and it was very unexpected. And for me, the most special part actually was when my friends all came home to the hut. They were talking about, you know, these face shots and beautiful lines they'd skied and decisions they'd made as a group and laughter. And they saw just this little painting that I'd done. And they, I think, connected to it much more than they normally would have. I think normally, you know, it's like oh, Em, that's nice, like beautiful painting. But they had spent the day connecting to the land and the mountains in a very physical, kind of like extroverted way. And I had spent the day in much more of an emotional, introverted way. And to see them put their experiences into this little painting was very special. So I guess the moral of the story is always bring your paintbrushes. Yeah, it's just, I love that I can connect to the mountains through sweat and blood and tears, or paint and pens and paper. So if you ever have any interest in plein air painting or just painting in general, please reach out to me. I love to talk about art supplies and things you can paint. And let's continue to paint our peaks for generations to come. I really encourage you guys to try our amazing youth plein air painting initiative that Caroline is starting through Rockies Repeat. It's an opportunity for you guys to go out and go to some of the sites that we've been painting and paint them yourselves. And we'll have a big sort of online network for that. So I just think it's an important way to document our landscapes and our emotions towards those landscapes. So thank you all. Congratulations to the team on such a beautiful summit. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of the campfire.
Oh. Oh. Wow, that was so amazing. All their works are so great. I can't believe how many people are here with us today watching all these amazing performers. Thank you all for supporting us and donating. Every donation is so generous and gets us closer to our goal. So let's keep this ball rolling. I am so excited to announce our next speaker. She's an award-winning Métis photographer. Here to show her amazing photos and her life is Nahani McKay.
Hey everyone, my name is Nahani McKay. I'm a Métis artist from Treaty 7 territory, and I'm here to talk to you about art. So I was born and raised in Banff, Alberta, and I got my start through, my grandfather actually owned a small camera shop on Banff Ave called Arcade Camera. He ran it from about 1970 to 1990, and he had cameras lying around all over the house. So that's kind of like where I picked up my love from photography. I think we all pick up our hobbies or careers through like little like mundane stuff like that, where we're like not really thinking about it. So I went to Amelie University of Art and Design in Vancouver, and I'm here to tell you a story about how I won my first award. So obviously being from Banff, you're so inspired by the mountains. Like it's just the most beautiful place arguably in the world. And yeah, so I just brought mountain photography into every critique, every class. And I just like was like, oh, I'm so inspired. And then I went to Skokie one summer. I was dating a guy there. It was very fun. And it was raining the whole time. So but when I was hiking out, I looked back and I was by myself, and there was a clearing over Ptarmigan Lake, and it was so beautiful. And I took a photo of it and presented it to that class when I came home, when I went back for a new school year. And then someone was like, landscapes are kind of boring. And I was like, huh. And then I thought about it, and it's true. Landscapes are boring. Like you're in the backcountry, you're by yourself, and there's nothing but water, mountains, river, like air, just nothing. And so just silence. So for that time, I took that photo and submitted it to the graduation show, and I won my first award. I called it Landscapes Are Boring, and I won the Cove-Shear Graduation Award for Athletic and Creative Excellence. And I was so excited because I felt just like beaten down the whole time, like the whole, like just being like, oh, not another mountain photo, but mountains are kind of cool. So it was really cool to see that. And then where my art took me after that, I couldn't even imagine. So yeah, we have like a very pretty picture, but what more is there? If you paint a photo, if you have a painting of a mountain, where do you go from there? What does it say about you? What do you feel when you're there? So the more time went on, the more vulnerable I was with my photography. And I worked at a campground in Banff here, and that was the summer they shot a wolf. So I did a project about that wolf, and it got rave reviews. Like it was accepted to galleries all over Canada, and it was just picked up by the Venice Biennale for the Emerging Artist Show with the European Cultural Center. So there's like something to say, like, how did that make you feel about that? I felt upset because our town's changing a lot. I felt grateful that I had this opportunity to be a part of something, but you want to like think about what you're taking a photo of, or what you're painting, or what you're making art about. So yeah, and I just wanted to explain that story of just like, don't give up, stick with your gut, always try new things, but always have a style. I think style is very important. So speaking to you, follow me on Instagram. Like if you're working on if you're an artist, if you're a youth artist, yeah, just follow me and connect and make connections and have community. So what I want to take away from this, I guess we'll sum up, is why do I love the Canadian Rockies? It's because it's our home and we need to be a part of that.
Her life sounds so adventurous, right? Like, I'd love the idea of landscapes are boring. That's so funny. You can check out more of her beautiful work at her website, which we'll be posting in the chat. And while you're down there, why don't you donate? We've had so many artists here tonight also passionate about their works. So let's take a minute to chill with some fantastic folk music. So lean back, get yourself some snacks, and enjoy Damas's Anderson Camacho's amazing music.
Hey there. Sorry about that. My tech setup is a little bit difficult at times. I hope everyone can see me all right. I've put my contacts in, and that might have been a poor decision because I can kind of see. But hello, my name is Damas. I am a kind of folk singer-songwriter, just based here in Alberta. I was born and raised in Calgary, but my mom is Métis. Her family comes from Fishing Lake, Saskatchewan, and my dad is Colombian from a town called Valledupar. And that's a little bit about me. I was so glad to be invited to be a part of this and just sort of share a little bit of my story and the music I've been up to. I think the importance of place is something that's really been weighing heavy on my mind. Also just hearing everyone else speak today. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of my songs are really tied to that. This one in particular is just one that I've been playing a lot lately. It's one of mine. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Falling at the feet of these columns, taught what it means to be, to hide among these walls. I didn't know it, I didn't know it, but it felt so good. Beneath the sea, she floats where I fall. And when the night is young, I whisper to my favorite song, and all these the sounds are falling away. Bare shoulders mark the fall, my head is barely on them, and in this darkest hour I hold on to you and smile. I can hardly see, the dark blurs it all, and the sun on me, so light and fight, it felt so good. Of all the stars out there, you're the brightest of them all. And when the night is young, I whisper to my favorite song, and all these other sounds are falling away. Bare shoulders mark the fall, my head is barely on them, and in this darkest hour I hold on to you and smile. Let me breathe, they say. 'Cause the silence is a symphony. And when the night is young, I whisper to my favorite song, and all these other sounds are falling away. Bare shoulders mark the fall, my head is barely on them, and in this darkest hour I hold on to you. And when the sun is gone, the sky is yours alone, and in these circles I would follow you down. But with your summers long and these dreams are lagging, though parts broken, you still whisper through the lies, my dear. It's funny to play online shows. I'll say that just because, you know, I play a lot in my apartment, and it's very strange to also be playing in my apartment, but also have just a completely different feeling. So pardon me if I'm a little awkward. I am very aware of the empty room that I'm in. But that was a song that I wrote not very long ago, and you know, it's been a hard year for everybody. I think we all know that. And I think I wrote that song in a way to remind myself that there's beauty in the world, and that there's, you know, just things to look forward to. Adam in the comments there was saying that I'm a graduate of the environmental, I always forget what it's called. Pardon me, my distance from the computer. But Adam taught me at some point, and he really gave me a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have had. And now I honestly, like, I met Adam in my last year of high school, and it made a really big difference. You know, just sort of motivated me to really go for university a lot. And now I'm in university. I'm at the University of Calgary studying art history. I love it. And also working with a program called the Otipimskan program, which is an Indigenous youth leadership program. So we go into different places and we talk to youth about developing leadership skills, which has been really great. And I honestly, I can't sort of underestimate or we shouldn't underestimate the importance of teachers ever. So shout out to Adam Robb. Mr. Robb is amazing. And with that, I will continue on. This next song is called Spirits. And I wrote this one also very much about the land and being, and the feeling of being in places, I think. This might sound morbid, where, you know, I had a relative who recently died, and just sort of going back to the place where she'd lived was, it just brought back a feeling. And that song is sort of, this song is about that. So it's called Spirits. Don't play with ghosts in the yard. Let them go mad, let them go mad. You're carrying them too far. Let them go mad, let them go mad. Don't ride with them on your skin. Hear the silence, feel the silence. Those spirits belong with the hills. Don't go alone there, go alone there. Climbing out of this skin. So will I become a ghost? Will I become a ghost? Feel the weight of this sin, that I am born again. Oh, I am born again. That virtue that bleeds her flesh. Hear the silence, feel the silence. The spirits belong with the hills. Don't go alone there, go alone there. Climbing out of this skin till I become a ghost, till I become. Feel the weight of this sin, yet I am born again, oh, I am born again. Climbing out of this skin till I become a ghost, till I become. Feel the weight of this end, yet I am born again, oh, I am born again.
This next one, I've been sort of reminding myself of today. I actually wrote this more on Adam Robb, but when I was when he was my teacher, I got the chance to speak at a conference in Canmore, and it was really, really amazing. But I ended up actually writing a song about it, and it was very much, I don't know, I wrote the song in Canmore, which was different for me. And second, I'd just been spending a lot of time in the mountains, you know, that spring in general. And this sort of, I think, is what came of it. I believe it was also quite early that the grass fires started that year. And I was also thinking quite a bit of that as well. And I sort of wrote this song and I presented it. And I think it's very much speaking to, I think, the changing state of things, changing climate of the world, just all of these sort of unforeseen circumstances where it feels like, I don't know, it might feel like a lot of responsibility is being left to, you know, certain people. And I think that that was really what I was trying to convey when I wrote this. So this is, it's called Set the Ground on Fire. wake up to the sun. Shining on the other side of the bed. Out the window burns, and my eyes slow at the sound of the new flames. They set the ground on fire and left him to put out the flames. They set the ground on fire and they forgot its name. And they ran from this, and they ran from this, and they ran. But there's no more ground to run. Gets out of this bed to the scorched earth, his feet are foreign and loud, and my head spins away, and I wonder where the water went today. They set the ground on fire and let him to put out the flame. They set the ground on fire and they forgot its name. And they ran from this, and they ran from this, and they ran. But there is no more ground to run, no, no. The wrong chord there at the end, but I was like, jazz. No, clearly not. My brain is just a little fried. You'll have to forgive me. But I recorded a version of that song, and I really, really would like to release it at some point. So when that happens, I'll make sure to bug you all. Okay, let's screw that. And we're gonna go up a little bit. I just wanted to, I think I'm gonna end with one more, if that's all right. And then I'll sign off, but I don't know. You'll have to forgive me again for being a little bit frazzled. I actually, I'll admit this to you all. I grabbed a hot baking sheet this morning that just came out of the oven, and I burnt all 4 of my main fingers that I use to play guitar. So it's been a little bit of a challenge trying to adjust, but I'm just really glad to be here. And this is such an amazing event. And I honestly, like, it's just so great to be a part of this. And such an amazing thing, I think. How do I put this? It's important to include youth, and not enough people do, especially when it comes to the issues that are really facing our world today and that are urgent. And I feel like young people who, are absolutely being influenced by these things are a lot of the time, not necessarily given the same weight in the conversation. So I'm just really, really glad that this is happening. And I just want to say thank you to everyone involved who made it possible. And with that, I'm going to play one last song. And this is one of my favorites that I've written just because it's fun. There's not really a lot of deeper meaning here. I am also a bit of an architecture nerd. And again, the importance of place. I love that places have stories, and I love that we can be connected to land in that way. And I think that that is overlooked so often in, I think, our relationship to the land every day. So yeah, we'll go with It's About That. This is called Gas Station Affair.
I see the way she looks at me and I can't. She sees the way of her and I can't. This is the lifestyle I spent looking for one. This is the lifestyle I get caught up in this, caught up in you. Something's coming on and I can't hide. Something's coming on and I can't hide. Something's coming on and I can't lie. Something's coming up and I see they're walking my way and I can't. Your words carry so much weight that I can't. Yeah, I can't. Will you admit that? Oh, spend the night living up your car. The sun is coming out. Stop being shy. Say what you want. Something's coming on and I can't hide. Something's coming on and I can't hide. Something's coming on and I can't hide. Something's coming up and I see you there walking my way and I can't. Your words carry so much weight that I can't. This is the last I am on. This time. Oh, no. Something's coming on and I can't hide. Something's coming up and I can't hide. Something's coming up and I can't lie. Something's coming up and I. Something's coming up and I can't. Something's coming up and I can't sigh. Something's coming up and I can't lie. Something's coming up and I. And I. And I. And
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I was too busy grooving out to Damas's amazing music. Damas is part of Métis Region 3 of Alberta and Columbian, and along with songwriting, Damas is also studying here at the University of Calgary for art history. So cool, right? Now I am sad to announce that we are getting close to the end here, folks. So you better get those donations in quick. But fret not, as we have one more speaker left today. So today to share her story for the first time enjoying the Rocky Mountains is Skylar Bisonalt.
Hello, everyone. I'm Skylar, and I am a grade 12 that goes to Mornville Community High School. I'm super excited to tell you guys about this amazing experience that I had in the Rocky Mountains. And so we'll hop right into it. So 26.6 kilometers. It sounds like a lot for some people, but when you spread it over the course of like 2 days, it's really not that bad. But I decided that I'm going to go on the school's hiking trip one year. And on this trip, I learned a lot about myself, about others, and just a lot of things in general. And on this trip, I had a lot of smiles, a lot of tears from both laughter and pain, and just emotions were everywhere. And there was one point where I got super, super confused because as I was walking along, all of a sudden the trail turned into a stream. And streams are not supposed to be hiking trails, and hiking trails are not supposed to be streams because that's just not how it works, you know? So it was in that moment that I learned the value about waterproof shoes and how they are definitely worth it. 100% definitely recommend having waterproof shoes when you're gonna have to hike through a stream. So we start off this hike and it starts off with 13 switchbacks. I'm like, I got this, I'm good. Now, for those of you who don't know, the switchback is when the trail zigzags back and forth up the side of the mountain and you cover a lot of elevation, but not a lot of distance. And so we start going and I immediately start to die because this is like the first time I've been on a big hike and it feels like we're climbing up the side of the mountain. That's kind of because that's exactly what we're doing. And so at one point I turn to somebody behind me and I say, how many do we still have to go? And they're like, we still have 10. And I'm like, what do you mean? We've only done 3? And it was in that moment that I wanted to hurl myself off of the mountain that I was currently climbing. But I couldn't do that because this is a school trip and doing that would probably get me in trouble. So I always found myself in this weird in-between place. I was never up in the front with the faster people and I was never in the back with the slower people. I was always at my own pace by myself in the middle. Now I always made sure though that I could hear or see someone in front of me or behind me, so I knew like a bear wasn't going to come in or eat me or something like that, you know, made sure we were safe. And so as I'm walking, I just stop for a bit. I'm like, okay, we're good, we got this, we keep going. And soon we stop for lunch or whatever, and you know, I'm feeling pretty drained, but I'm like, okay, we're good. And then we start again, we go around the corner and 5 more switchbacks. I'm like, oh, of course, 5 more switchbacks. Look at us go. I'm like, we got this, we can do this. Once again, wanted to die, but I always love putting myself in a challenging place because that's just what I like to do, you know? Like, you always want to put yourself and give yourself a challenge. So as I'm going up these 5 sets of switchbacks, a guy named Greg Badestein, who is one of my teachers, he's the one who puts on the trip, and he said something to me, and this is what I've kept forever. For the longest time that I can remember, I've always kept this one little phrase with me, and what he said to me, it was this right here, this is the ultimate nothing box. It's just one foot in front of the other. Nothing else matters. And so I took these words and I gobbled them up and stored them in the back of my brain for safekeeping because I'm like, this is a cool kind of quote. And I love quotes. So I'm like, of course I'm gonna, you know, fall in love with this quote. And so finally we finished the set of 5 switchbacks and we hit the top of the mountain. Now, wow. If you've never climbed a mountain, I highly suggest that you climb that mountain, any mountain, just go climb a hill, honestly, just climb a mountain because wow, that feeling of standing up top and there being a valley on one side and a valley on the other. And oh my God, there's not even words to describe it. It's one of those points where like you don't want to talk about the feeling in fear that you're going to lose that feeling. And so I'm standing up there with this indescribable feeling of wow, 725 meters up. And I don't know what to do. I'm like, this is the first real big hike I've ever done. So like I'm standing on top of the mountain. I'm like, this is so fun. This is so exciting. And then it dawned on me, we were only halfway, because it's one of those trails that you have to go all the way up and all the way out the exact same way. So I had still the entire trip down the side of this mountain to figure out what the nothing box was. And so down this hike, the hike down the side of the mountain, I'm trying to figure out what this nothing box is. Is it a place? Is it a feeling? An emotion? A physical cardboard box with nothing in it and labeled nothing? Like, what is this nothing box? And then I realized it could be anything for anybody. Every single person is going to be their nothing box is going to be a little different. And so once I was in one of those weird little, where I was in the middle by myself, there wasn't anybody, or like there were people in front of me, but like I wasn't surrounded really close. I was just by myself. And I stopped and I looked up and it had just started snowing. It was like one of those like movie scenes, you know, where like that like perfect snow globe snow. And the snow's falling on my face and it's touching my nose and my eyelashes. And it's just, oh, this amazing feeling. And I took a deep breath. It was nothing but me and this feeling. And it was in that moment that I understood what my nothing box was. For me, it was the feeling. It was this overwhelming feeling of awe and wonder. And it was just me and the world. Just me, the snow, the trees, the occasional bear over there, and just nothing else except for that. And it was in this moment where I took a step back and I just fell in love with the world that I was surrounded by. And I was on the side of the mountain and nothing was going to stop me. Anytime I feel like I can't do something, I go right back to that moment. And I think about what the nothing box is, and I think about that moment of standing on the top of that mountain and looking out, and I think this right here, this is my ultimate nothing box. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed my story, and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Skylar. Skylar sent that to me, and when we were asking students why the Canadian Rockies, what inspires you? Because we think that when people feel a sense of place, they're inspired to connect to that place and they're inspired to protect it. So when I started working with this incredible group of youth from Central Memorial High School as part of the Environmental Energy and Innovations class, Lucas and Ben, our co-directors, Ben, our founder, Ava, our soon-to-be co-director of next year, Alex, our tech whiz logistical guru, our Liam and Thomas, our sure we'll do whatever we need to do energizers. I asked them at the very beginning, what do you think that you want to be different about this year's summit? And they said, well, education is really great, but we also want to create action. So this year's summit is Hope into Action. And that starts with this incredible group of youth that have taken on this action project and have brought us into your living rooms tonight. And then I asked them, what was your favorite part of the summit last year? And they said, just riding the bus, those organic in-between moments, and of course, the campfire. So we hope that we created that sense of awe, that sense of wonder, and that sense of kicking back after a long day and really just getting to connect with one another. We know it's not the same. COVID makes nothing the same, and we're all tired of screens, but thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And also huge mad props to the wonderful tech crew at Central Memorial. Huge mad props to all of the teachers and all of the students and all of the people that are making this happen. We have an incredible lineup for the summit, and we have a lot of incredible organizations. And that includes, this project was made possible with a huge generous grant from the Calgary Foundation and a various donation from the Assembly of First Nations of Alberta. So thank you for tuning in today. I'm just going to leave you with a quote from Autumn Peltier. She's an Anishinaabe water advocate and a member of the UN Youth Council and also a water walker. And she just said, we need more youth and elders at the table. So that's the beginning of this. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Ava and Ben. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Bye.
Campfire concert. There's no volume. There we go. Thank you, Mallory. And with that, we are done with the Canadian Rockies Youth Network Benefit Campfire Concert. Thank you all for watching and donating. When we first started planning this second summit, we had a small meeting in a classroom discussing the rough idea of how we wanted this summit to look. That meeting felt like yesterday, and now we are finishing with the opening night. I want to thank Ben, our founder, Lucas, our co-director, and Alex, our amazing tech man and also co-director. Without these three guys, nothing would have been done. And after this, they are off to the big wide world of university, where I know they'll do great. And hopefully, the summit won't fall apart without them. But it won't, because they have me, which is great. And also, the glue that holds us together, Mallory. Even though Mallory is not a youth, she sure has the spirit of one. She has transformed this small classroom project into an amazing province-wide network. She has supplied us with so many connections, helped us plan this all, and also put up with all of our procrastinating and busy school schedules, which is saying a lot. I would also like to say a huge thanks to all of our performers tonight. I would have never thought how amazing this night would have been back in September. Each one cares so much for the environment and youth voices. I can't even begin to say how grateful we are to have them join us tonight, sharing their talents. Again, I would like to say a huge thanks to our tech at Central Memorial High School and the Career and Technology Center. There's about 8 or 5 students here, and they've made this night so much better. And finally, I would like to thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight and donating. I can't believe how many of you donated and attended. And we will make sure to see you again tomorrow back at 9 o'clock. You are all an example of how an action project can make amazing strides. Thank you all. I've had a pleasure hosting tonight, and good night.